This has then been worked and turned. You can see it's been shaped here. It's been shaped with a drill hole there. Any ideas? No smoking. No smoking back there.
Yeah, I was thinking of smoking.
We could make it pipe. No hole there, sadly, so you can't use it as a pipe. We thought, you know, it's a fake fingernail. Yeah. For a vampire.
Could it be used to drill holes like in the leather?
Well, potentially. It's quite big though, and you know, you do get lots of leather pins and things which are fairly small and robust, but small.
Is there
It's a bit like a
hole
tent
actually
peg.
passes through?
It is a bit like a peg. Yeah. The hole passes all the way through. Yeah, so you've got the hole goes all the way through.
So you'd like a guide rope.
Yeah, you could put a guide rope through there. It's a very expensive tent peg though.
Maybe an ornament. You can also use it.
Could be an ornament. And you know what? And this is the worst case scenario. They may never have finished it.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and we get a lot of stuff like this where they started something. You know, they have a brainwave and say, "Oh, I know what I'm going to do with that." They get halfway along and then they get distracted and they go and bugger off and do something else. Yeah, people, you know, we've all done that, haven't we? So this is the way it goes. So that's rather lovely. And then the other little artifact I'll show you is, well, I want to bring the bead across, but I thought I'll bring something just a little bit more fun because you've all seen beads before. It's part of a Roman game set. So this is the white counters, like drafts. You get white and black counters, or you can get red counters and grey counters. And this is a Ludigus Ludorum. This is a Little Soldiers. It's called the game.
So the mud that you're taking out, you put it through sifters to make sure you get everything?
No, this is all got to be hand processed by hand, sorted by hand. Because if you push this through a sieve, if you've got a writing tablet, you destroy it. It's so soft. So that's a little white glass gaming counter. A little marker. And when you get down to the museum, you can see some of the beautiful gaming boards and counters, and sometimes they make them out of bone, like the antler I just showed you. And what I love about this is just a little bit of time. It's leisure activities, people relaxing, having a game inside the barracks. It's the other side to life, yeah? So when you walk into a fort gate like this, you probably think, oh, all work, big Roman soldiers, intimidating local people, you know. And they did a bit of that, for sure. But they also had
I thought that was a button for a shirt or something. Looks a bit shiny.
It's a little white glass gaming counter, like a drafts piece for a board.
Yeah. Okay.
And what's that made from?
It's made of glass.
Wow.
It's made of glass. White glass. So all these sort of things come out, and once you get a lot of them, the everyday picture of life starts to be built and layered in with the constructions, the buildings, and you build a picture of how life changes as well. The life of people down there, apart from being a bit wet, was very, very different in the 1st century to life where you're standing here in the 3rd century. Very different people. So down there, you have the 1st quarter Tungrians from modern day Belgium. Up where you are, 4th quarter Gauls from Lyon, south of France. Yeah? So different people, different spaces.
You have everything in squares out here, they're recording where you find everything?
No, it's all fired in with a total station. So that thing on the tripod finds its exact geographical position here. Yeah. We would use GPS, but GPS isn't accurate enough, so we use a total station. It's much more. It's accurate about 2 millimeters over 250 meters. So it's pretty good. Sorry? Well, the Romans arrived up to Vindolanda here at about 85 AD. They built their first fort, but they'd already pushed further north into Scotland before that. Well, the Romans pushed off from here. They left. Well, you see, they didn't really leave. That's the problem. So we think of the end of Roman Britain as a thing, an event, you know, a day in a calendar. Well, one day we're Roman, the next day we're not. It never happened. So the people who were stationed behind you in that quadrant of the fort over there, they're soldier farmers in the late 4th century, early 5th. And they get orders from headquarters saying, bad luck, we can't pay you anymore, we're going to leave you where you are.
Do you want me to book a decent piece of room?
Yes, please.
That was magic.
Roman road, not enough to hang over. So at the end of Roman Britain, they stop paying the soldier farmers. They don't get their money, and you get paid 3 times a year. If the pay stops coming, you might think it's a month late, it's 2 months late. By the time it's 3 months late, you're probably quite annoyed. But the other problem is you're cut off from the rest of the empire because the barbarian hordes have overridden your homeland. So then what are you going to do? Are you going to go back to a place it's very dangerous, that you're not welcome anymore, where you have no more family left in, or are you going to stay here where you may have brought up your children or your grandchildren, and this is the landscape you know. And what we tend to find is that people tended to stay. So the first people who became effectively British here, in the sense that they drank the water here their whole lives, in that sense, they are the surviving families of very diverse Roman culture that have come to gather here as soldiers on the frontier. And through the next couple of hundred years, there's different communities of Gauls, Spanish cavalry, Syrian archers, oh goodness me, all sorts of different groups, Sarmatians, you name it. They all slowly interbreed, and you get the backbone of 5th and 6th century society along the boundary of Hadrian's Wall. Now they've got very many Roman markers that you'd say they're very Roman in their style, so they're used to a Roman military lifestyle. They're Christians, because that's the way they were brought up, and they were told by the emperor, you have to be a Christian if you're going to be a Roman soldier in the end of the Roman period. So you get those vestiges of imperial Rome that cling into the landscape and bond these communities together into the 5th and 6th centuries. And so that's what happens here. We're not abandoned as a site until the beginning of the 9th century, when eventually the population drops to such a point that it's unsustainable to repair and maintain this place. So the way to think about it is, if you live in a massive house and you've got a great job, you can afford the upkeep of the roof, fabulous. You lose that job, or your extended family move away and you're rattling around a mansion with 12 rooms. I don't, but I can imagine. And then somebody gives you the bill to fix the roof, you think, maybe it's time to downsize. And that's effectively what people would have found out. So here, you've had a population slowly diminishing, but this place takes a lot of maintenance. It's a big space, and eventually people move away. And it drops off the radar, drops off the map, and becomes